Welcome to Lights in the Night with your host, Russell Johnson. Uncover the truth about alien contact and hear from insiders who reveal the evidence. Stay tuned.
You're on, Russ. Russ, you're on there.
Oh, good afternoon. Welcome to Lights in the Night. I'm Russell. Got a little cold today, but anyway, we got all these good people here. They know what they're talking about. Well, some people may even have a story. Some people
Your
even
brand new show, Russ, and you can't talk.
Some people even may doubt the fact that it doesn't exist at all. So talk to us about what you experienced. Did you have any experience in aliens or abductions or hear about it?
Yeah.
Anything at all?
Not that I know of are alien abductions. Just sometimes they're just very busy dreams of me going places and traveling. So I'm starting to think, the more I listen to you, that the more these might be stories of trying to abduct me. I know, Sally, you and Freddie had a story of
Right.
a
Yeah.
possible abduction.
Just to let our viewers know, I was going to be your guest on your show, and I still am, but this is your show about abduction. So
It's our show.
what I'm going to
It's our
discuss
show. Let's go.
with Dawn is a little
Sure.
that happened about 2 weeks ago with Freddie and myself, which anybody that knows a little bit about this said it definitely had to be an abduction. And anyone that listens to my show, I wasn't that surprised. So let's go from there. Okay. Okay. Well, Freddie's in the studio too. What actually happened, I think I did tell you, Russ, what happened.
did,
And your
you
first
did.
words were, this was definitely an abduction. I go to sleep. And around about, I guess the time isn't important, but it was like about 12:30 at night. Steve, my husband, was in the other room. He hadn't fallen asleep. I'm suddenly screaming in my sleep, help me, help me. And this is 2 weeks ago. Okay, and I remember screaming. So of course he came running into the bedroom and said, what's the matter, what's the matter? And at this point, I was still asleep, although I remember this. But I couldn't talk because you are paralyzed at this point when you come in quickly, and especially as maybe he had disturbed me, which I needed somebody there at this point. So I'm saying, but I couldn't get the words out at all. So he got really upset and wondered something was wrong with me. So let's fast forward a little bit. I came around and I could remember every part of my screaming in my sleep, help me, help me. I remembered being paralyzed, and I had a witness there to show me, to tell me that I was paralyzed. Let's fast forward a little bit. That was crazy enough. I come into the Brooklyn Cafe, and I'm relaying to you my story, Dawn. And you said to me, when I said that I'm screaming, help me.
Freddie had just told me that same story that had happened to him the night before.
Wow.
Because yours was Sunday night,
Yeah,
Saturday
it was
night.
literally within 24 hours, one another. And he had exactly the same experience, right? When
Right,
was,
he couldn't move, but in his mind he knew he was screaming, but no one could hear him. But it was just kind of a help me situation.
Right.
and
Is this an abduction or some incident?
I believe, and I did, unfortunately, Russ can't talk that well right now, so I'm talking a little bit for you, but correct me if I'm wrong. Your first words were to me when I asked you, what do you think happened? He said to me, this was definitely an abduction, because I don't remember where I was taken to in my abduction, as you don't either. However, and that's the first time I do want to say that I've ever felt scared because I'm screaming, help me. You were doing the same thing 24 hours later.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. So I don't understand what else it could have been other than an abduction, because there is no time, but it was in 24 hours of one another having this same experience. So that in itself tells me, without me remembering, because a lot of my other ones I do, that I may not have chosen to remember what had happened because I was scared, and that doesn't usually happen.
Well, you had that experience the other night.
Well, you know, the thing that people have told me is that there's something that your body locks down, and that has happened to other people. But that's giving an explanation to an incident, not the other way around. This is the second time that I remember this happening. This is not the first time. This one was worse than the first time.
I see. That's right. Huh?
It was shocking. Are you kidding? I couldn't even go back to sleep. It was so scary. And
Well,
And then you feel like there's something missing,
yeah,
like something was taken from you, or you know, and that brought on the story of the lanterns
Which
and all that.
there's a follow-up to this whole story.
There
right?
is, and then that story gets freaky, and today that story got even more freaky. But
what was that story?
those 3 lanterns that you see there, during that episode, I received a message from my mother
Oh,
to bring in some lanterns. So I
Wow.
went out and I bought them, and I put them in the building in my hallways.
wow.
And they stole them.
Who
They
did?
stole it on a Wednesday. So when I came in Thursday morning, I hadn't even told Dawn the story. I came in here and we had a new producer, Michael, who shows up with 3 lanterns.
Wow.
And there they be. And I said to Michael, do you have any idea what this means? He says, no, it's lanterns. I said, why'd you buy 3? He says it was more than 2 and less than 4. That's the way he thinks.
I see.
So his 3 lanterns are the same lanterns that I replaced.
Wow.
So then today we had a guest on the show, and she had 14 brothers and sisters. And my mother, who started this whole thing, had 14 brothers and sisters.
Wow.
So that's 2.
Yep.
It's just, you know, I don't want to use the word coincidence, but it just has a very strange twist to
There's
things.
some synchronicity to all of this.
And
you
it's,
know.
and it, yes,
Yeah.
and more of it comes forward. A couple of weeks ago, Sally told me that my mother had a message, and then you show up that same day that she gave me a message. You show up and told me, let's go back to bringing the aliens to light.
Yeah.
And then I've been trying to post some of your data on
Right.
in the Knight's Facebook page, and everywhere I go, including YouTube, they restrict it.
Yes.
Why?
And the funny thing is that I'm giving full credit to those that post it,
Wow. That's
which
strange.
makes no
That's
makes no
strange
sense.
because 10 years ago when we were doing this, it would have been a challenge.
Oh, forget about it. There wouldn't have been anything to find. Today, Russell, there's a ton of things to find.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he just sent me something very interesting, which I brought up on your earlier show. What you just sent me that Steven Spielberg
Right.
had now mentioned, which was really interesting, which I was sharing before, how he's done 10 movies.
At least 10.
At least 10,
At
right?
least 10.
So,
At
I mean,
least
these are people that are coming, I can't say he came forward completely, he just gave his opinion, but they are coming forward a
But
little bit
he
more
did
now.
say there's a possibility.
That's right, he
With
did.
the
and I
vastness
listened.
of the universe, there's
Yes,
a possibility.
absolutely.
But I think, see, Black Rock, Vanguard, and State Street, they own all the media, CBS, NBC, ABC.
All
right?
of them, yes.
So they have to be very quiet in what they say. Even Elon Musk says, I don't think the aliens are here. And Tyson, the astrophysicist, he's saying, I don't think so. But they have been paid off. But it's going to come out anyway because they're going to have more congressional hearings. It's going to be the talk of the town. It's going to be the most talked about subject on the face of the earth in the next 5 years. And
What do you think they're going to be revealing?
I'm sorry?
What do you think they're going to disclose?
But they're going to give you a little bit at a time. They can't tell you the whole truth. If you want to know the whole truth, you got to go to listen to Billy Carson, and he has Forbidden Knowledge, his podcast.
Right.
And you got to go to Dr. Stephen Greer. He has Disclosure Project that he's been working on for 35 years. And if you ever watch the documentaries that he has put out, one is called Unacknowledged. The other is called The Lost Century. You got to watch those if you want to really understand what's happening and what's going to happen. Nobody can give you the whole elephant to eat in one meal. They got to give you a little bit at a time.
Right.
Even when we talk about abductions, the aliens have been abducting us for hundreds of years, if you will.
Right.
Hundreds of years.
Well,
you-
it's funny.
But they don't want
It's funny
they
because
don't
you
want to put it out there.
you posted something that I reposted that talks about
Yeah.
Area 51.
Sure.
It talks about
Yeah.
a few other places that
Grooms Lake.
that have been
That's
selected
for-
for an agreement, apparently, with alien life.
Yep.
And in the agreement, it talks about transfer of bodies and transfer of aliens so that we can learn one another. So certain parts of our world know very well
Oh, yeah. Oh,
what's going on.
yeah.
So it is a felony to be caught anywhere around Area 51.
Oh, yeah.
They don't even want you on the outside.
True,
So
true,
if it's not true,
true.
then why are they being so
Cover up.
secretive about doing it?
Ooh, I tell you, it's a tough question, but it's a $64,000 question, $2 billion question, if you will. But if you look at The Lost Century by Dr. Stephen Greer, it's about an hour, 15 minutes. If you Google it, he explains why.
Interesting. And there's another one that you posted where they talked about how the pyramids were built.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
why is it that the pyramids were built in Machu Picchu, which is South America, and there's in Europe, in Egypt, and why that area?
They're really all over the world.
But why is it that those hieroglyphics in those two countries have the symbol of flying objects? I'm not going to say saucers, but flying objects,
Yeah.
and they're separated by bodies of water. Was it one culture? Was it after the earth separated in half? Was the lost city of Atlantis in between and it fell into the ocean, which is what the theories are? I mean, conspiracy theorists love to create conspiracy. But that is being brought about by the ones that know to simply confuse the truth.
This is what we talk about is basic 101, UFO basic 101. It gets really involved. It's really complicated. So they're going to spoon feed you right now, a little bit at a time, because most people can't handle the truth, the real truth.
But isn't the truth a whole lot better than to spoon feed me truths?
I would say, but if I tell you that there's a secret space force that's been operating for 80 years, taking billions and billions and trillions of dollars from the coffers of the United States
Right.
and building spaceships, and they got all the secrets, they're not going to tell you. They don't want you to know that yet.
It's amazing. It's an amazing factor. But
Yeah,
I went to the movies. I see that they're bringing back
yeah.
the movie that started it all.
E.T.
No, the one after that one.
War.
Close Encounters.
Uh-huh.
So the Close
Close
Encounters
Encounters.
is
Close
coming back
Encounters
to
of
the
Third
movies.
Kind. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, 30 years later,
Yeah, well,
they're bringing it back to the movie theaters.
I have to get back to our original story when we felt that we're being abducted, and maybe Russ has a different take on it a little bit now. The fact that we brought this up on your show only happened 2 weeks ago. I think we were meant to be absolutely. Unfortunately, your voice is not able to share your opinion, but you see how this all fits in with what we're talking about. Why did that happen to both of us within
there are
24
no
hours?
There's
Right?
no accidents. And my voice,
No, that's nothing necessarily to do
They
with
probably
it.
took
But
my
we're
voice out.
sitting on
They
your
want me-
show
they want me to talk
discussing
about it.
aliens, and we'd had this experience.
it is so much. It's a ton of information, but it's coming. It's coming. It's real. And you have to start doing a little homework by listening to other people who are very knowledgeable in what I'm talking about. Like Dr. Stephen Greer, that's one. Billy Carson, he's been doing this for, he's got millions of listeners.
Right.
And then you got this guy, who, I can't think of his name, but he has the podcast, Soul Next Time, Upper Level Soul, whatever it is. Then you got Linda Moulton Howell. She's been out there for at least 80 years. I mean, since 79. Because she was doing the cattle mutilations information. And she got an award. She's an award-winning journalist. Then you got Laura Eisenhower, the great-granddaughter of President Eisenhower.
These are all credible people.
No,
so-
these people know it. Look at Gaia, Cosmic Connections. George Norrie on Beyond Belief. I don't know. You look back to 30 years ago. You had Art Bell
Yes,
with the All Night Show.
that's true.
He had millions and millions and millions of listeners.
So do you feel that it's disclosure is gonna be very soon now?
It's happening every day.
Right.
It's happening now.
Right.
This is disclosure by us being here on the show.
Exactly,
talking
that's
about
what
it.
I'm thinking.
This is the beginning of it. But light, it's good. It's soft, easy, not frightening people. And not saying that you've been abducted in the breeding program, and and they've been using.
You know, it's funny because I never looked at it that way.
No, but
I thought it was a nightmare.
But why would we have the same nightmare within 24 hours?
Well, you, Sally, God
We're
only
both
knows
paralyzed.
why.
Freddie, we're both paralyzed. Then we've got some sort of illness.
Well, you know, I put a poll out and it came back. I had over 6,900 people agree that they had the same experience.
There you go. It's to bring it out to the airwaves.
Tons of people.
But there's always another medical reason that they give you why it happened.
Whatever.
Possible, but why did... Okay, let's just say there was. Is that not more strange that we should have that same problem within 24 hours with each other?
Yeah.
Well, have you ever gone through that experience?
I never woken myself up because Steve came in.
But have you ever gone through that?
Yeah, I've been abducted many times, but I don't remember being
Abducted.
paralyzed.
But do you remember going through that particularly experience where you could not get
I
up?
have never had that happen. No,
Never.
that was the first
Okay.
time.
Okay.
I've come back and remembered, but I've never been paralyzed that I couldn't get my words out. Help me.
Isn't that a scary thought? That's my
Very,
second time.
yeah.
So and you're telling me
Well, I
I've
had
been
one.
abducted
I
twice?
had one I didn't want to tell you, and I'll say it on the air. I had one 48 hours ago. Same thing. And I knew-
Again?
Yeah,
Listen. But see,
Again?
yeah.
See,
I didn't scream out though.
but
I
she
was
had-
saying this is a dream to myself.
That's
You ever
good.
had one of those?
You,
So they're very active.
Russell,
right
you
now.
ever had
don't
one
think
of those?
so.
You have you?
I don't think I've ever had one.
Russell, have you had those?
not quite, but listen. I was in the Air Force as a controller, air traffic controller, and that's 70 years ago. But if I saw anything, I couldn't talk about it. Do you understand that?
No, I understand that. But I'm just asking, have you ever been through that experience? I'm not asking you to elaborate it.
Oh, okay. I've been abducted many
You
times. Many times.
You have.
Many times. Many times.
I pointed out to Sandy. She has.
But
yeah.
I wasn't allowed to talk about it. Now they taking my voice, but
Are you better now? You want to talk?
You
Talk
want
a
to
little more,
share?
Yeah.
yeah.
Sandy, tell us your story.
Well, it sounds very familiar to me because when I was in the hospital, I was, of course, was in bed, and there were people walking by to see me, and it felt like I was in the incubator for babies, and they were looking at me, the babies or whatever, and I'm trying to talk to them, but nothing is coming out. So I didn't come to, and they were just talking about me or to me, but I could not move a muscle. So it's similar. I don't know.
Were you screaming?
No, I had no fear. I was just trying to get their attention. I'm here. Hello. And they couldn't see me. They couldn't hear me. Nothing.
Wow.
I don't know. Was that sort of the same?
That's true.
Yeah, it is. And the fact that it makes it so believable, I know what happened, you know what happened to you, but we both had somebody else that witnessed it. Steve witnessed mine, and you had someone that witnessed, Linda, witnessed you. So I know I'm not making this up.
Oh, I know I'm not.
And Freddie, you know you're not, because somebody saw it happen to you too. So we were both, gave somebody witness to what happened to both of us. So how do you explain? I mean, my show is crazy enough, but this is even crazier, really.
But it's good. It's a good example. You're helping people
It was
to
very real to
not
me.
be afraid.
Yes,
You-
yeah.
Because the estimate is that 8 million people have been abducted so far in the United States alone. So it's coming. And the realization, look, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right?
Yes.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Watch the motion picture Chameleon, the true story.
What do you think's going to change once some of this information comes out?
Watch the picture Fire in the Sky.
Fire in the Sky, I seen.
Yeah, that's Bill Walton. That's a true story.
It's a
That's
famous,
true
famous
story.
movie.
Yeah, watch the picture called The Fourth Kind in Nome, Alaska. Watch that picture. That's another true story. And then Betty and Bonnie Hill in 1961. It was all over the Life magazine article, you know, Look magazine on the front cover. Betty and Barney Hill, they made a motion picture called Interrupted Journey. So you got to go back in history a little bit. It's coming.
But even
Your question, wait a minute, I don't want to ignore your question. What was your question?
What do you think is going to change once the disclosure starts to come out?
Well, people's attitudes will start to realize that it's not going to be full disclosure. In the next 10, 20, 30 years, they're going to have to say, I can't say that, but there are people who are in the know, people with the government, NSA, they said, you won't ever really know the truth because most people can't handle in this lifetime, but they can begin to train you, teach you, give you seeds of what's going to come. And it's going to change your attitude in terms of your thoughts on religion, your thoughts on government, science, God, all of that. It's got to change. Another guy who just passed, and it's a book. He wrote a book called "Selected by Extraterrestrials." William Tompkins, and he left at night. He was given a lot of information by the Nordics from 1940 until he passed a couple of years ago, because they do it by telepathy. They don't have to.
Well, I'm going to go even further back, Russell. In South America, there are landing strips.
Oh, sure.
That you cannot see from the ground.
Absolutely.
You have to be up in the air to make out what it is.
Yeah.
Now, who the hell builds something like that? If you can't build it from the ground because you can't see it.
The Nazca
The
lines.
Nazca in Peru.
How in the
Aldo talked
world
about that,
does that get done?
Yeah.
The
Well,
Nazca line.
this is Florida, right? Homestead, Florida. There was a guy who built a rock garden. Why don't you Google it? And he built of the big rocks, 2,000 or 3,000 pounds of bees. He built a garden in Homestead, Florida. Google that and look at that.
But Russ, do you feel that they left these messages?
Coral Castle?
Yeah, the Carl
Yeah,
Castle.
I was wanting to do that.
So the aliens are here. The aliens are occupying bodies. The aliens can come in and take over a body. And it's called a walk-in. The aliens can abduct you anytime they get ready, put you on a spaceship, take you to another planet, even put you to work on another planet. And because they have the breeding program that's alive and well. So the hybrid children are going to come back to the planet. If you go to www.hybridchildrencommunity.com, you see they're going to bring them back and walk among us.
Are they happy about us now talking? I feel that they are. I think now is the time, right?
Well, yeah. They can't stop it now. The cat's out of the bag. They can keep most of the big stuff from you.
Right.
You know, they don't.
Right.
But the little stuff that we're talking about, they're gonna let that come out now, in the motion pictures, and in the conversations, and the many hundreds, thousands of podcasts that will be going on.
The congressional hearings, what are they going to try?
They're gonna give you a little bit more, but not too much. They're gonna give you a little bit more.
Because they had the congressional hearings with NASA about this.
I understand.
And NASA had no answer.
Well, NASA doesn't want to give you any answers.
Well, they didn't know. They says we have
No.
clue.
They tell you no. That's BS. They tell you they don't know. They're not going to give you too many answers.
Gotcha.
So you can't handle the truth, like that motion picture, the real truth. But they're going to feed you, spoon feed you, and give you a little bit at a time over the next few years.
Got it.
And that's the reality of it. Because
The mass
most
hysteria, right? If they suddenly appear.
you know, well, you're going back to War of the Worlds, Orson, 1938. No, it's not that anymore, so much anymore. It's the fact that the Secret Space Force, they control everything on this planet. Even above the President of the United States, they control all the information. They control all the trillions of dollars that they take out and put in those programs. And that spaceship is going planet to planet. There's a word called mind labs. What the Secret Space Force has done was to build little spaceships that they control, not the aliens control, they control. And they'll come back and abduct you after you've been abducted by the aliens to see why did they abduct you, period. And Corey Good, David Wilcock, and George Norrie, beyond belief, they talk about all of this. So you got to go down a big rabbit hole about all of this. So it's not a secret.
Interesting.
Yeah. What how much time you got left? Because I want you to talk about your nonprofit organization and how people can help you have more programs like this on an ongoing basis. Let's talk about that.
We've recently just formed a 501c3 at the studio. It's called AMP Media Futures Foundation.
Okay.
And is fully registered with the IRS as a full founded 501c3. And we are looking for volunteers to help us find grant monies. And the whole platform of the foundation is to bring awareness to our youth, our college students and graduate students.
Wow.
In a media and a real studio setting, to give them everything from editing software.
That's great. That's awesome.
To finding more curriculum, to access to cameras and lighting and all kinds of things that they don't all have access to if they don't truly get at school. And also to work with diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have students in here that are different diagnoses and different spectrums, and we give everyone a chance here.
That's a
where
big
a lot of
step.
places don't always give those with different abilities the chances that we try to achieve here. But with that, they need a little bit of extra help, and we could use some extra volunteers, and anyone interested in the area of working with special needs or in the media itself, let us know always.
No, that's awesome. That's great.
Thank you.
And to be attached to the school systems of FAU, Lynn, and others.
Correct.
And bring those students here for training to get them accustomed to being in the workaday world. That's excellent. By the way, there are a lot of people who are going to be leaving this planet who have a lot of money, and they can give you those monies.
Before they leave the planet.
Rather than leave on time. Like, for instance, Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, he had $99 billion on the table when he left a few months ago. You could have gotten $1 billion from him or $2 billion from him.
I settled for $100.
Okay, well, all right. But people, well, listen, people they love to. You ever heard of Volunteers of America?
Sure.
Look, people love to give, but they give to a program that they believe in, with the United Way, Catholic Charities, with the Salvation Army, the Goodwill. People love to give. So you just have to put your name out there that you're doing the work of helping students to become better broadcasters.
At Media
they'd be
Futures,
glad
we're
to
putting
give
the
you
name
money.
out there.
So even you can join the United Way. Why don't you join the United Way?
Yes,
Become a
we're planning
member
on that phone
agency on
call
the
as well.
United Way.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of money on the table with a nonprofit. You can reach out and get some of the. Matter of fact, Mackenzie Scott, she's given away about $670 million so far, and she gave just $2.5 million the other day to the a corporation in West Palm Beach. It's called the Urban League of Mercer. She gave $2.5 billion to that.
Interesting.
So you're in the running, but you got to get your name out there to
Got
get
to
the
get out
money.
there. And how do people find you if they want more information on Lights in the Night or what's happening with disclosure?
You can go to lightsinthenight.org or projectdisclosure.com, or my number is 561-562-0100. They can call that
Johnson.
number.
Thank you, Russ.
Sure.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you for joining us on Lights in the Night. Keep your eyes on the skies and stay curious. Until next time, good night.